G'day guys, before we hop into today's vlog, I just want to remind you to hit that subscribe button. From now on, I'm going to be putting out Day-Leigh vlogs every single day. I'm going to be tracking my process, playing these 1-2-6 max games, hopefully moving up in stakes. But even if I don't, you'll get to watch me fall on my face every single day on this YouTube channel. So make sure you hit subscribe so you get the new videos as they come out every single day. For now, onto the vlog.
G'day everyone, welcome back to the vlog. It is now a 7:15 AM here in Melbourne. I've just woken up, had a bit of a sleep in today. I think the fact that I'm playing 5 tables at once now and I can save time by playing so many hands, it's a bit more of a practical decision for me to just sleep an extra hour each day. So I'm probably going to start waking up at 6 AM now instead of 5 AM. Even with the sleeping, clearly I'm still tired. Plan for today is to play the 1,500 hands of poker like we usually do on a 5 table yet again. Hoping to get that A grade level of play in, but first I definitely need a feed. Still on the diet, so gonna be the smaller portion sizes to stick to the diet, but then after we eat we're gonna get in the poker. But first, let's get a feed in.
G'day, it's currently about 7:30 AM here in Melbourne. I'm about to hop in and play my poker session. I got a feed in. I'm feeling alright after the feed. To be 100% honest, I'm not loving these smaller portion sizes. Would love to add an extra piece of bacon or two, or maybe even a sausage or two. But you know what, I have to think about in the long run, what really matters. Me feeling satisfied for one meal, or me, living longer, looking better. I think there's some things in life that are more important than feeling satisfied from hunger. So I just have to focus on what really matters in the long run, and that'll keep me on track for the diet. I'm on about day 6 now, and yeah, it's going well. I haven't broken diet yet, and I've been hitting the macros pretty much every single day. I was a bit short on protein yesterday because I had a bunch of cheese instead of, meat or protein powder. So that was on me, but otherwise I've been sticking to the diet pretty well. Regardless though, that's the diet part of my life. The other part of my life, the poker, that's what I'm about to hop in and do. The goal for today, as always, is that 1,500 hands. We've got a 5 table. The 5 tabling's been going really well for me, particularly yesterday. Yesterday I did give myself an A grade, and I do feel like I was able to focus a lot better because I played those shorter sessions. So I did like three sessions that were roughly about an hour and a half each. I think I'm going to look to do that again today. I'm going to look to play a 2-hour session at the moment. Then I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to come back to it and probably play another hour and a half, 2 hours again, then take another small break and then get back to it again in the afternoon. It'll probably be a bit more time consuming having so many breaks in between sessions, but it really did help me focus and stay on my A game longer. So looking to do it again today. I'm going to hop in now. Let's go. Welcome back everyone. It is currently about 4 to 5 in the afternoon here in Melbourne, and I've just wrapped up my 3rd poker session for the day. Ended up playing a total of 6 hours and 18 minutes today for a grand total of 1,584 hands. Well, first of all, I did smash my 1,500 goal yet again, so that's what I am stoked about. But if you're a keen-eyed viewer, you might notice that those numbers they're not quite what they would be if I was playing 5 games at once. I was playing 4 tables for the majority of today. I was having a bit of issues with my computer. It was running a bit slow, and it really started to glitch out a bit when I did add the 5th table in. So I sort of just played it a bit conservative, a bit nitty, and only played 4 tables for the majority of today's sessions. So that's why the daily hand number is a bit lower, having played over 6 hours, but can't complain too much. Still got in the 1,500 hands, so stoked about that. In terms of results for the session, much less stoked. I ended up losing 295 on the session. In terms of my gameplay grade, however, I'm going to give myself a B+ for today. I do feel like that the reason I had a loss was in a large part due to run bad. I think I made a lot of good decisions throughout the course of my session, good adjustments to my opponent's strategies for the most part. I do feel like towards the third session in the day, I definitely was more fatigued and I got a bit undisciplined. Did make one pretty undisciplined bluff that we'll get into in today's hand history. For the most part though, I feel like I did play well. I've identified what I think is maybe potentially a leak in the player pool that I am playing in. The reason I had a loss today, I think it was in large part due to 3 hands that I did play today, all 3 of which I got pocket queens all in pre-flop in 4 and 5 bet pots, and every single time I was up against either kings or aces in all 3 pots and didn't suck out in any of them either. So I think that's a large part of why I lost so much, and typically I wouldn't say that getting pocket queens all in pre-flop is a mistake. It's possible that that is the case and that I'm just running bad, that they did have the strongest part of their range each time today, but I think it is potentially a leak that I am getting pocket queens all in pre-flop, even for 100 big blinds. Typically, it's not really a mistake, but I think maybe in this player pool, it might be a mistake just because they really, like, no one ever showed up with like ace-king offsuit or pocket jacks or anything else that I would want to be against with pocket queens. I think in large part, maybe my player pool is a bit more tight and a bit more conservative, more likely to only get in the real premiums, like aces and kings, namely in pre-flop. So I think going forward, I might be a bit more cautious about getting pocket queens all in pre-flop, and also probably bluff people more aggressively in 4 and 5 bet pots, because if I'm only getting called by aces and kings when I go all in pre-flop, then maybe I should start bluffing a bit more, particularly if I've a blocker to pocket aces or pocket kings. So that's definitely something I'm gonna look to mix into my game in tomorrow's session, but obviously done for the day. And in terms of the gameplay grade, I think a B+ feels about right. So as I did mention, there was one hand in particular where I do think I was losing focus. This happened in the third session of the day, actually towards the tail end of the third session of the day, maybe in the last hour I was playing. I think I was tired and unfocused by this point, and it led me to make what I think is a pretty bad play, to be 100% honest. So let's get into the play. The action's on a loose aggressive low jack. They go ahead and raise it up to 6. Then a tight aggressive hijack calls. Then the action gets back around to me in the big blind, and I have ace queen offsuit. I think even pre-flop, this is a pretty interesting decision between calling and 3-betting. Obviously not going to fold. Ace queen here. We are 250 effective. I think that the best play, honestly, I think the best play here would just be to 3-bet against a loose aggressive low jack open. Obviously, low jack ranges are going to be a bit tighter than, say, cutoff ranges for button ranges, for example. So for that makes me want to 3-bet less often. But I think a loose aggressive player, they're probably going to be opening like suited 2-gappers and, you know, king jack offsuit, that type of stuff. So obviously, when they have a range that has weaker stuff like that in it, we can look to 3-bet ace queen for value. So this is the first mistake I make in the hand. I decide to just call, and I don't think just calling is an awful mistake by any means. Like I said, conventionally low jack ranges are going to be a bit tighter, not looking to 3-bet them that often, but like I think it's a mistake just because of who this opponent is and the type of hands they're going to open in the low jack. So I decide to call, however, and then we go 3 ways to a flop, which is 10-5-4, all hearts. We do have the ace of hearts. So I go ahead and check it to the pre-flop aggressor. They go ahead and bet 12, then the hijack folds. So the action's back on me. And I think I have another pretty interesting decision again between calling and raising. The reasons I would like raising here are because I called in the big blind. Obviously I have a bunch of flushes in my range. I have all the suited broadways that didn't 3-bet. I have a bunch of suited connectors, some suited 2-gappers, suited aces, etc. I just have a lot of flushes in my range here. So check raising here to represent a flush will be very credible, which is why I would like doing it. And obviously semi-bluffing is good because even if I do get called by a better hand, I have outs to improve. You guys know that. You don't need me to tell you that. You all know that already. So that will be why I would like check raising. I decided to just call, however, and the reason I did call here is because I figured if I did have the nut flush here, I'll probably trap, and I actually would trap with a lot of my flushes that weren't the nut flush as well. So if I'm gonna, you know, if I'm gonna look to mix in a check raise bluff on later streets to represent the nut flush, I do need to trap with some of my semi bluffs as well, or trap with my semi bluffs. I need to have some, you know, have some hands I can semi bluff with later in my call range. So yeah, that's the reason I do decide to call. I think maybe I overthought that one a bit. Again, due to fatigue, due to losing focus a bit, I think it's probably just a better play to check raise here to try and exploit my opponent's over aggression, try to get them to fold a bunch of hands with overcards to the 10. And I really do think if I start to put in pressure now, it's going to be hard for them to call off with pretty much any one pair hand. Is going to be put in a really gross spot to a flop check raise and then 2 barrels. So I think check raising probably the better option here. I make the wrong choice again. I decide to just call. I say it's the wrong choice. I don't think it's that awful of a mistake though. So I do call, and then we go heads up to turn, which is the 6 of spades. I check it over to the aggressor, and they keep on aggressing. They go ahead and bet 22. So when the action's back on me here, yet again, I have the same decision whether to call or raise. And I think this time I'm going to follow through with where I should have been the whole hand, and that's to start playing the hand aggressively. I do decide to check raise to 69. I actually like this decision to start check raising here, otherwise my call on the flop doesn't really make sense. Obviously not getting great odds to draw when my opponent goes ahead and bets 22, so I like mixing in the aggression, trying to represent those trapped flushes on the flop here. So I go ahead and make it 69. Then my opponent does call. Them calling is actually pretty concerning. I said they're a loose aggressive player who's going to be opening a bunch of stuff under the gun. Some of those hands are flushes. Obviously, they can have pretty much all of the sets. They're definitely opening every pocket pair in the low jack pre-flop. They could definitely have overpairs, overpairs with a heart in particular. I mean, obviously, if they have overpairs with a heart, we want them to get there on the river with their flush, but they're definitely hands as well in their range. So when we go to a river, we're going to hope we get there because they do actually have a pretty strong range. The river is the 4 of spades, so damn, we don't get there. So the action's still on me. I did check raise on the turn, and I have an interesting decision. Do I want to keep barreling to try and represent this flush, or do I want to give up? And my initial thought is, oh, I definitely want to bluff, right? Like, I have the ace of hearts. I know they don't have the nuts. I should just go all in. And I decide to rip it in, and I do think that's a mistake. And here's why I think that's a mistake. I do block the nut flush, but I also block my opponent having called the turn with the nut flush. And I think most of the hands that my opponent's going to call on the turn and then fold on the river are hands like ace of hearts, king of clubs, ace of hearts, jack of spades. Like stuff like that, I think is going to be most of the hands that my opponent folds on the river. And when I have the ace of hearts in my hand, I know they don't have that in their hands. So it's much more likely they do have one of those strong hands that are listed, like a set, like a flush. So I do think I sort of got the blockers mixed up and I did it the wrong way around. And like I said, I was fatigued and I sort of just didn't think the decision through fully. Just sort of went with my initial reaction. I think that's a big mistake on this river that I made here. Regardless though, I do rip it all in. Then my opponent tanks right to the maximum. I see their thing counting down before they call. Oh, damn. They call and they end up showing black pocket jacks. So obviously a good call by them. Maybe this is the type of opponent I shouldn't want to be trying to bluff in this spot, but regardless, I'm pretty disappointed with how I played this hand. At the start of the hand, I don't think I played it aggressively enough, and by the end of the hand, I think I played it too aggressively, so sort of just flipped it around and just not happy with how I played that hand overall. I am curious to hear what you guys think about this hand though. Obviously, there's a bunch of different key decision points throughout this hand, so hop in the comments below, let me know what you think you would do on each decision point during this hand, but particularly the river. Obviously that's the biggest one during the course of the hand. Do you guys go for the bluff there with the nut flush blocker, or should you just check it? Obviously it's actually not a good bluffer to have when you think about it in another way, so super curious to hear what you guys think about that. Bluffing with hands like that have the nut flush blocker, it is an interesting subject in poker, in my opinion at least, so keen to hear what you guys hear in the comments below. That's going to wrap up another vlog for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you sticking to the end of the video. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel grow so much. Got a bunch of new subscribers in the past few weeks, and I appreciate all of the new subscribers, all the ones who have been here from the start. So if you haven't already, join the fam, hit the subscribe, and we're going to bring these daily vlogs out to you going forward. For now, I'm out of here. Peace.